Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. Let's talk about Destination X episode 3.
We're going to Paris.
Et Paris.
I actually have been to Paris, and so I knew just by the B-roll that they were showing.
I can't wait to talk about that. The show's becoming so obvious, and I love it.
But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up.
Please do, and support us on Patreon if you like. Patreon.com/Nerdtainment.
We're here on a Saturday. Don't know if anybody else is going to be here.
We're a little late. Caught up
we're
in conversation. I see 3 of you there.
Right. Welcome,
people will trickle in.
Yes.
Okay. First of all.
What?
We need
to do our fingers across our beds like this.
Oh. That is, I'm like, what are you doing?
First
I guess that's the extent of like physical touch that you can comfortably do with someone in front of everybody else living on a bus. But before we even get there, I just want to point out, I went back to our video last week and we predicted 2 things. Okay.
Oh.
We predicted that they were going to France.
Oh.
From Switzerland. We were like, it's either going to be France or Germany.
Yeah.
Ding.
Ding.
And we predicted that Peter and Janae were going to be on this episode. We're like, where are they?
Yeah.
Probably next episode. We were right.
We were right.
We're good.
We are. Do I always know where they are? No. But do I know when the cast is going to grow? Yes.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. So we see the map. They head into France.
Yes.
But then from there, I'm going to say the clues were pretty skimmed this episode.
I would agree. They were a little more cryptic than we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to like the first challenge, post flirty flirt, Rachel, I notice, is trying to like make amends and make friends. And she realizes she kind of crossed people in the last episode and got a little heated. And she's like, she slept on it and she's now waking up and she's like, you know what? Rick, I'm so sorry. Let's just like, let's be friends, everybody. She's realizing her social game is a little off.
Yeah. I don't know if that was just for the editing, but that's what we're seeing there.
Yeah. Totally true. Might have been for the edit.
We get some funny stuff about Kim dating a stinky fisherman.
I like Kim a lot.
I think they're just showing us that she's quite the character there.
Yeah.
And then literally I wrote down whoop, 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 because it felt like a whoop.
It did. It's back to feeling like a wormhole. Thank you. Goggles on, whoop, 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 and we're in a maze out of nowhere. So they're in 16,000 yards of hedges.
Yes.
And very sort of Survivor-esque, this kind of challenge. You know how they used to do the one, it wasn't hedges in Survivor, but it's like rails, like waist height rails. And they run around this big maze to grab different things.
Yeah.
And they're searching for clues.
But this one was very French.
Very French.
Because those gardens, that is very French.
Beautifully kept.
They are hidden in a labyrinth maze type thing.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful and fun, but I would probably have a panic attack.
Yeah, you don't like tight spaces.
If I couldn't
and then not being able to get out.
Exit and I start running around.
Those hedges are so high.
I will climb that hedge.
Oh my God, I bet you would like lose your partner. Because you know how sometimes the partners like Shane is a lot faster than Ty. By the way, it's pronounced Ty.
It absolutely
I paid attention. And I wrote it out T-I-E in my notes so that I would say it right.
Yep.
Shane was like much faster than her.
Yeah.
I wonder if you get lost and then you take a wrong turn.
I would be like, wait, so that I'm always in view. But he had the right strategy, right?
Yeah.
He was like, I'm taking no turns and I am running full steam ahead straight. And
it
that
worked.
100%
They got all 3 clues.
Yes.
It was, so I guess the rules were, I was maybe zoning out a little bit when JDM was explaining the rules of this challenge. But if you get there first, you get an accurate clue. Everybody else gets a red herring. It seemed.
Yeah.
So Shane and Ty got every real clue.
Yeah.
Nobody else got real information.
That means they know nothing. And honestly, the clues from here on out for the non-winners, we're pretty much not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to get a windmill.
Okay. Let's talk this out.
Yeah.
You're right. Windmill movie, which did end up being Moulin Rouge very good. It took me a minute.
Sure did. It took me a minute.
I was like,
what the heck?
Well, at first I thought they were in the Netherlands. Because they're known for the windmill.
Yeah. I was
like, what movie took place in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I was like, windmills don't make me think of France.
Yeah. But for some reason, I think Ty or Shane was like, France with the windmill. They didn't even say Moulin Rouge. They were just like, oh, it's a movie with windmills, France. And I was like, Huh?
Well, I think when they finally get to the red and blue is when they said France.
Was that when they finally figured it out?
I don't remember them doing it before. Maybe
it
did.
just said on the screen. It said France because they were kind of revealing that.
Right. We knew it was France.
Yeah.
But I think because first off, I think we saw B-roll of Paris because I was like, I know this place. I was like, I know exactly where they are.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but it can't be Paris, right? So
Yeah.
I kept like looking for other clues. But yeah, they get the windmill movie. They get Can song.
Can. Yeah.
The literal song.
Which is also a Moulin Rouge thing.
But that made me think of the actual location, Moulin Rouge. There's an actual bar.
Yeah.
Location but that's in Paris.
Exactly.
So then I was like, okay, the Moulin Rouge is in Paris. That's where you do the Can.
I was
dance.
done at that point.
Yeah.
And I was also like, let's be honest. This is season 1 of this show. They're going to Paris.
I don't know.
They're not going to Cannes. They went to Rome and now they're in Paris.
I thought they're either going to be in Paris or Versailles. So I started looking for clues.
Is Versailles its own city?
Versailles is its own city, but it's just outside of Paris.
Okay.
So I thought that's what they'll do. They won't go to the big one.
Right.
They'll go to Versailles, that other one that we know.
Yeah.
But anyway, what do we know?
What do we know?
Because then the third one is the flowers, and then I feel like
then it's just the flag colors, though. Like that was just a clue about France, not Paris specifically.
Exactly.
It's really the Can and the Moulin Rouge that I think is supposed to direct you to Moulin Rouge.
To Paris.
Can is a clever clue because there is a Cannes, France, and that does, throw some people off in terms of the solving of that. But yeah, they're the only ones with that information. Other people are getting, there's the like Game of Thrones thing with the dragon and the 3 eggs. And like, are we in Croatia?
Right.
There's clues for Spain, Italy, like all the other teams are getting wrong information, but they don't know that necessarily because they don't know that Shane and Ty have gotten there before them.
Yeah. Okay. Peter and Janae. This is
so true.
Yes, this is true. And I was like, because they were like, these two are a clue for where they are. And I was like, they didn't have their shows in Paris. They didn't go on a fantasy suite to Paris.
Yeah.
But they did go to a windmill.
Yeah. That's from when he was on Hannah Brown's season,
I
think.
Mm-hmm. Right?
And she had like a hyper-religious guy who was like top 4 with Peter, and they boinked multiple times in the windmill. And this hyper-religious guy was like, Hannah, how dare you? But I thought you said you were a Christian. And she's like, I did have sex, and Jesus still loves me. Look that up. It was an iconic moment. They used it in so many episode previews that season. It was like building towards that moment. And Peter was a part of that. Thank you, Vicky, for that callback.
That's right. David really is. Hannah Brown was a fun season.
It was.
I won't say that about many seasons. I will not. But Hannah Brown, she was fun.
Okay, so Shane and Ty now get advantages.
Yes.
Unbeknownst to anybody, except for Peter and Janae.
Pilot Pete.
Yeah. I literally,
walk up on that
as someone who knows Pilot Pete, I would be like, what the hell are you doing here?
I'd be like, producers, what are y'all doing? Y'all got Pilot Pete?
What are you doing here?
Delivering me a clue or an advantage? What's happening?
Yeah.
We jumping the shark already, season 1?
But like Shane, I don't know if he knew who he was.
No idea. He had no idea.
So I think he's like, why they got a rando giving me a clue?
Yeah, I think it would have been funny had Allie. I think Allie's the only one who knew him.
Yeah.
It would have been fun if someone knew. If it was David standing there and Pilot Pete walked up. And David's like, what?
I would have been like, remember the windmills with Hannah Brown?
Yeah, but Shane's like, I don't know who you are, but thanks for the advantage because he gets to send someone or save someone.
He gets to send someone. Ty gets to save someone.
And Janae's going to give that to Ty. And Ty also,
like,
she's
who
like,
are you?
I don't watch Love Island.
Where are we?
Yeah, what's happening? She's like, are you French? I'm sure we're in France. Are you French? Yeah, not much more is going to happen there except they get those advantages, and now we're back on the bus.
Back on the bus, we're comparing notes. Ty and Shane are both kind of being cagey, but here's my question. How did they know whether their information was right?
Right. I
guess they had to know
because
they
were the fastest and they got it all.
Okay, because they're kind of being mum about the clues that they got. Everybody else is like, are we in Croatia and all that stuff? And we got a flamenco clue. Maybe we're in Spain.
Yeah, they're like, we had a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone else is clearly like, ours don't make sense. But this little, we're gonna have a little
alliance. Yes, we do see Biggie and Allie getting some information from Shane and Ty, and I think the Allie and Ty thing has been brewing for a minute. And if you remember, like everybody kind of wanted to work with Biggie for some reason early on, so it's nice to kind of see this stuff finally solidifying,
right?
And we'll see how much this really helps
so
people.
Biggie, Allie, Shane, and Ty, they're a little foursome. They're gonna do all their little clue sharing together, and we're gonna also hear from Ty that she feels like Allie getting so close to Shane,
she's a little annoyed,
is like kind of pulling them apart.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know if that's a competition thing or if she's just like, I don't know if I can really trust you because you're getting so close to Shane.
You put Shane before me.
Yeah.
I'd be the same way. I'd be like, what's happening over here, girl?
Mm-hmm. So she's sort of bringing in like Mac and Rachel. She's just trying to diversify her relationships on the game, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I think that's
a smart move. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Google's on again.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Now we're at a castle.
We're at a and now, because I'm looking for Versailles clues. I thought they were at Versailles at first.
Do you think they were? Do we know where they ended up?
No, but I then saw that it wasn't Versailles.
Okay, because I'm like, everyone thought Versailles, and it is a beautiful castle. I thought
Versailles
it was like
is gorgeous.
Versailles is insanely gorgeous, and the gardens, not 1 inch of the gardens is not decorated.
Yeah.
And this was kind of a fairly plain lawn, I thought.
Yeah, and the house, as gorgeous as it was like, I don't want to say run down, but it was just like average. It was your average
it was a dump
French mansion. Nothing like Versailles.
We need that HGTV renovation show, Project Castle or whatever it is, to come in and fix this place
it's just
up.
your average castle.
Plumbing problems. It's just not cute. I thought it might have been the Chateau de Fontainebleau, which I've been to when I studied abroad in high school in France for like 10
Was that
days.
in Petty?
It was outside of Paris.
Yeah.
Not too
so
far.
Maybe that was
So
it.
again, I was kind of like, it feels like Paris.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, at this point, I was pretty certain that it was Paris.
Oh, wait, Melody, what was that? Was something hot?
No one seemed to get the Paris.
Was there a that's hot?
What does that have to do with Paris?
Well, her name is Paris.
Oh.
What does that have to do with Paris? David just said. Honestly, I'm so glad you said it. Smart one. You are the smart one, and you would have.
Her name is Paris.
Roasted me.
Okay.
David, what does Paris Hilton have anything to do with Paris?
Maybe I wouldn't do so well on this show. Can't be in Geneva the last time. It's really the first names that are like, they're sitting right there. And sometimes you're like, what? What is that? This one's even clearer.
Okay, cool. There was a piece of paper that said, that's hot. I love it. I did not get that. That's good.
Didn't
clue.
either. Mm-hmm. But here's what I liked when they were walking out into this lawn to play croquet. The players are now starting to see everything. And they're like, oh, the red bottoms on JDM's shoes. Like, I imagine maybe he was wearing some trench coat by a French designer. Like, I'm sure everything is kind of thought through. And there are clues everywhere.
Well, but now I thought that because last episode, they ran through that stuff. He was like, did you see my Rolex? Did you see the blah, blah, blah? And I was like, yes, show, great.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that in this episode.
Yeah.
I think it was because they added Peter and Janae
there
at
wasn't
the
time.
end.
Yeah.
But I need the show to say, did you see the that's hot on the table from Paris Hilton and my red soles? Is that a Paris brand? I honestly don't know, but I do think Paris is a fashion.
Yeah, I think that's a French. You tell us, chat. I imagine it is.
Are they French?
But yeah, they're all at this table. The random info, that's, I think also what's kind of fun about this show is everybody knows different information just in life. And for Rick to be like, oh, the European calling dove that's only heard in major metropolitan cities in Europe. I'm like, what? The what?
I need so much more of that. I was like, tell me more.
Right. How do you know that? I'm sure he's a birder.
No, he is. They told us that in episode 1.
Yeah.
He was like, I know birds, and that's my secret to knowing where I am. And I was like, hey, pay off. Let's see it.
And here we are.
But I mean, all he could say was Metropolitan City.
Actually, you're right. They literally put like birdwatcher as his profession.
Yeah.
And then remember, he was like, I'm a negotiator. And we were like, I thought you were a birdwatcher.
I was like, wait, what's your negotiating? But yeah, he's a birdwatcher and he knows that it is in big cities. So, I mean, I guess that helps us to know it's Paris.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But I'm going to need more from you, Rick.
Truly.
Okay.
So they're at the table. They've all got plates. One of them has an X on it. It's Ty's. And she gets to choose her opponent for this challenge that they don't know what it is. They
don't know what it is.
But they do know you're picking an opponent.
And you're picking an opponent. Who would you have picked first?
Kim.
100% Kim.
I mean, that would have been a mistake.
It would have been a mistake. But why would you pick your newfound ally, Rachel?
Yeah.
I would pick Kim 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
She's kind of just like a kooky outsider at this point.
Yeah. But it turns out to be Croquet, and I don't know how to play Croquet. Although it does seem very similar to bocce ball, but with a mallet.
Mm-hmm.
And I can play.
It's just about getting through that thing first.
Yeah.
You can hit it as many times as you need, and whoever gets it through the thing.
But there are keys to it, like taking off your shoes.
Yeah. Got to feel the earth, apparently.
Got to feel that ground.
JDM's like, whatever works, I guess.
Whatever, Kim.
I guess. Take your feet out.
Watch this, y'all.
Yeah.
So Ty's going to beat Rachel.
Now, got a question before we get into the game. When JDM was setting this all up, we hear him say, don't forget, players, there are advantages in play. But it was like in ADR. So I was like, do they know that Shane and Ty have advantages at this point?
Yes.
Or is this just a reminder for the viewers and the players don't actually know?
No, I do believe that was part of the original discussion back at the bus.
Okay.
Of like, oh, you guys won. What'd you get?
Got it.
We got a little advantage. He can do this. I can do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah. So they are aware of that.
Great.
How they got those cards, no one knows.
No one knows.
But
they'll find out.
Yeah.
Yes. Like you say, Ty beats Rachel.
Ty's going to beat Rachel. Then Kim's going to put on a show and beat Mac.
Yeah. She's played croquet her whole life, apparently. Great.
Right.
Rick beats Shane.
Rick is going to beat Shane. No one wanted to see that, but it happened.
And this is like Ty chose Rachel and won, but then the next two, the chooser lost. Mac chose Kim. She lost. Shane chose Rick. He lost. And then Allie and Biggie were stuck together, and Allie wins. That was a pretty dramatic finish.
A good game. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'd pay a ticket for that.
Yeah, for sure.
That was fun to watch.
Yes.
But yeah. So, okay, great. So that means that Rachel, Max, Shane, and Biggie are now up for the map room.
But there's still advantages.
But there are advantages in play.
Yes. So now we're back on the bus. Mac, like I think most of us thought, Versailles. We were just at Versailles. It's a castle.
Yeah.
I mean, your mind goes to the most obvious thing, and honestly, you're not wrong. If you think you're at Versailles, you should just guess Paris because you're in France, and that's the most obvious thing.
Well, Versailles is not going to be that far off the map.
Yeah.
If it is, the answer is Paris, and you say Versailles, it's not that far.
Yeah.
Can.
But then we see this Ty Rachel moment.
That's how I look at now.
I pulled Rachel aside, and she's like, I know I just beat you in the challenge.
Oops.
But remember when I was trying to build an alliance with you, that was actually the real.
Let's go back to that.
So I want to give you some information right now, and I want to tell you something.
Yes.
The clues had nothing to do with Paris. We're in First of all, she says Cannes.
Yeah.
We're in Cannes. France.
No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
But I mean, she's
well-meaning.
It's well-meaning. She's like, they played the can. We're in Cannes. But what she doesn't realize is that can is done at the Moulin Rouge, which is in Paris.
Which is in the movie.
And that's the windmill.
Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
That's Paris.
You're not piecing it all together.
Like, I get you think can means can. Like, that's not.
Yeah. It's like if you're looking at a picture and of an elephant and you're just looking at the foot and you're like, it's a rhino. Mm-hmm. But you need to look at the trunk, which is the windmill and the tusk, which is the Moulin Rouge. And, it's like you got to look at it in totality in order to know what it is.
David, that was real. Y'all, look at the full element. Wiser words have never been spoken.
So now JDM comes in, right? Or
Yeah.
does he do a video pop up? Whatever. We're going to do the alliances.
Yeah.
It's
So
time to make a
poor
choice.
sweet Rachel has gotten intel, and Ty thinks that she's being honest with her, even though this is completely wrong. But again, we didn't see many clues to Paris. The rest of them, besides Ty and Shane, have no idea where they are.
No idea.
They
No
just
clue.
know they're in France. They've all figured out
Everybody's
they're in
narrowed
France.
it down to France.
Okay, on the bus with Jeffrey.
JDM. Time for the advantages. Ty goes first. And she's like, I got to honor my guy, my partner. I have to save Shane. I think I saw that coming.
Yeah, wish she could have saved Rachel.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to, he's the one that got you this advantage. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he sends Rick and calls Rick a snake. But I also noticed that was an ADR.
Oh.
And I'm like, hey, he didn't actually call Rick a snake to his face.
Yeah.
But I love that. It's nice that they included that.
Yeah. And all of this makes me think about, again, Josh in the very first interview with him. He was like, I called out Rick so that they would all have a target.
And they do. They do.
And everyone just targeting Rick.
Yeah. And Rick's probably like,
he's not enjoying it, but he's doing the best he can. He heard that bird. He's fine.
He's fine.
Yep.
This man's probably going to win. So we're going to the map room. Rachel's going for Cannes. Poor woman. Biggie's like, we're not in Cannes. It's not the right climate. I wouldn't know the first thing about that. I'll tell you right now.
Well, I do know
I don't know
that
if the climate is in Cannes. I guess it's on the water.
It's on the coast.
Okay. So it's not
muggy
enough.
You're sitting at that castle and you're like, I don't feel like I'm on the coast.
Yeah, I don't smell the ocean.
Yeah, I don't feel,
I heard the European calling dove, not a seagull. So we can't be in Cannes. That's what Rick is saying.
Yeah.
And then they do their little anticlimactic elimination ceremony. I'm still stuck on the format that I chose for it.
I know,
week.
and I honestly,
so much better.
There was a moment where I was like, "Are they going to do what David pitched? Are they going to do it?" No. And you know what was interesting is because when Rachel's in the map room, she says, "Okay, if we were in Bern and we moved over," and I was like, "Oh my God, she doesn't even know that they were in Geneva."
You're right.
That's what David said.
You're right.
You're like, announce where they were and show everyone's spot on the map.
Yeah.
And but they're keeping them in the dark. They don't know where they are. And she was like, okay, if we drive over from Bern, and I was like, oh my God.
People are just operating on wrong information.
Yeah.
And the show's letting them. I guess that's kind of fun in its own way.
Right. That is part of the game. I get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd rather see them go boop, boop, boop. And then be like, we're actually in Paris. And you're like, oh, that person down here in Cannes. Who was that? Rachel. Oh,
yikes.
Out. So she's shocked. Ty's shocked because Ty is the one who gave her all this information.
Ty? I've never seen someone more genuinely shocked on a show. She was like,
yeah, because that was all
she's like, I told her the answer. Yes. And she's going home.
And I didn't want her to go home.
Yeah.
I told her because I wanted her to say. But everyone else figures out they're up in Paris.
They're in Paris.
Or they just guessed or whatever.
Yeah, they show us the map and like the other three are just like dead center Paris. And Rachel is all the way in Cannes. And she's out.
Yeah.
JDM takes her outside for the little tour of the city. They have a gorgeous shot of them next to the Eiffel Tower. Really beautiful.
I love Paris.
It's so pretty.
It's so beautiful.
I'm dying to go. I've been doing Duolingo French for like over a year.
Oh, that's right. But you've never actually been to Paris?
I went to Paris, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's so beautiful. They never really updated their buildings, and so it still has that like old charm and the cobblestone streets.
And I'm dying to go see Notre Dame. Dying.
It looks
the
like
remodel, like but it's like redone. Like I saw it when I was in high school, and just to see it again, I've read that it looks like they just like took a power washer to Notre Dame because they just like put a little sparkle on it. I'm sure it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're there. Rachel's like, okay, yep. Turns out we're not on the coast.
She's like, okay, great, bye.
Great. But we're not done.
But we are not done with this episode.
Yeah.
And they're not going to take time to give us the clues.
They're not. They're going to show they're going to show everybody Paris. So I guess that is a little bit of a reset.
Oh,
now
yeah.
everybody knows they're in Paris.
The window opened. That was
and it's
fun.
the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
And you sort of like,
they're like,
it is a moment.
Yeah.
You can tell they are feeling cooped up, and they're like, oh my God, the window works.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Now they're sort of recentered, restart.
And then production was like, send in the talent. Send in the talent. And Pilot Pete and Janae had to do some weird
dancing
in front of the Eiffel Tower.
What?
And people are like on the bus. They're like,
neither of them were even on Dancing
like,
with the Stars.
Who are
Peter was.
Who are these dancers? Who are?
Yeah.
And then luckily, Allie's like, that dude was on Bachelor.
Yeah.
Like he'd be a bachelor. And then they're gonna enter the bus.
Yeah. So they are joining the game officially. No real explanation for why they got to elude 3 full eliminations before they're going to be competing.
No
but they're
explanation other than they are who they are.
They are who they are. They're notable people, so they get to skip the line a little bit.
But it's not in their best interest. They're entering as enemies now.
Oh, totally.
That I've never seen.
People are going to be like,
so
sabotage these newbies.
They were like, oh, you just walked on our bus?
Also, you're notable reality stars. We're not letting you win this.
Yeah, they're like, who are you? What show have you been on?
Yeah.
Oh, and somebody was like, Janae, were you liked?
Literally.
I was like, that is not
bold
a question that you say out publicly.
Bold.
She handled it very well. She was like,
she did.
I was America's favorite.
Yeah, she's like, I was America's sweetheart. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was Allie asking her that. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so they did not come into a warm welcome. They're trying to like loosen the vibes. They've got champagne. They're trying to be like, friends.
Janae's like, y'all clearly hate us. Let's pop some bubbles because this is awkward.
And we get a great awkward moment because Ty's gonna hug Janae and be like, so nice to meet you.
Before Janae, Janae was probably this close to being like, girl. And Ty was like, nice to meet you. Yeah. And Janae's like, oh, okay.
Hug.
Understood. And then Peter, they're all sipping their bubbles. And Peter's like, my guy, I'm the one who gave you the advantage. And they're like, excuse me?
They're like, wait, no, what now? And then
and Shane plays it off. He's like, oh yeah, he was there. He gave me the advantage.
Yeah, Shane was like, absolutely
didn't think anything
cool.
of it. I don't know who that is.
I didn't know. He handed me a card. Like I didn't know who he was. Yeah, what's up, guy? Like he
didn't even think it mattered.
It works with Shane.
Yeah.
Shane's like, yeah, I'm the guy. But in this moment was when I was like, oh right. The most faithful of the faithfuls.
Oh yeah.
Has arrived on the bus.
He's gonna spill all the information.
I forgot how he was like, why wouldn't we be so open and honest with every detail?
Yeah.
And Ty was like, he's like, wait, you didn't have anyone bring you an advantage, Ty?
Yeah.
Ty's like, who's Janae?
What? No. I just got it.
Mm-hmm.
And Janae's like, that's so crazy. Yeah. That's literally what she says.
Yeah. She's like,
because she's trying to like stay out of it.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, clearly that woman is lying, but I don't want to call her a liar to her face because I just met her.
Right. Which I think is why.
She actually, I think, handled it kind of well to be like, that's crazy. Yeah.
I kind of hope, because in the confessional to us, Janae's like, well, this girl hates me and is a liar. Like,
she's like, this is a mess.
Yeah. But I hope that they talk it out and are like, look, it's best for our game and let's secretly work together.
Right.
That would be a lot more fun to watch than like they're just battling because Ty didn't want to like give every detail out. Like, let Ty have a secret.
I know.
There are secrets in this game.
Yeah. There was no preview for next week. That's where we ended.
Okay. No preview.
I watched all the way through the credits. So if there was a preview, they aired it separately from the episode.
Okay.
So probably like Germany next.
Germany.
Or like Spain.
Or they could go back south.
Yeah.
But if they go back south to Spain,
then they have to double back to go and like then they would have to go to Portugal and then they're like at the end of Europe.
Yeah, I think they might like do Germany. Is Croatia somewhere up over here?
Must probably.
I feel like
you could go down. I think Croatia's maybe like below Germany. So you could go down the corner and go into Croatia and then up to Germany. But they're doing all the big countries and the big cities.
Yeah,
this season.
I mean, okay.
Don't blame them. They have the most beautiful shots. If you go to some tiny town in France, You're not going to get beautiful.
Well, it has to be
shots.
A town you know.
And it has to be like breathtaking vistas for the reveal of where they are. You need that for television.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was disappointed in the Paris clues not being revealed to me. Mm-hmm. I just need them to bring that back.
Maybe they'll do that at the beginning of the next episode or something.
Yeah. Hopefully it was just sidetracked because of Peter and Janae.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait a minute, I feel duped.
Yeah. They had to squeeze things to make room for that. So.
All right. Well, I guess we don't know where they're headed, but we do have the 2 new players in the bus.
Yep.
So
we'll see how that plays out.
Maybe Rick can finally pair up with somebody.
No.
Maybe Peter will love Rick.
Maybe. Although Rick's a snake and Peter's an honest guy.
But maybe he doesn't know Rick's a snake.
Shane will tell him.
He missed it. Yeah, that's true. Alrighty, that is this episode. I obviously talked to Rachel. Oh, I do want to point out, because in this episode, she was like, look, I need money for fertility treatments. I've been with my husband for a while. I want to be a mom. And so, I'm a journalist.
Of course you are.
But I still do research.
Yeah.
And when I was researching her, I was like, she's no longer married. Oh. So we do chat about that as well as the game, because obviously that is so hard to like go through a divorce and then watch an episode where you're like,
I'm about to have a baby with the love of my life.
Right. So we did have a very interesting conversation, and I really liked her in the show.
Yeah, me too.
And I liked her in our conversation.
Nice.
As well. Yeah.
Check that out for sure.
So please watch it and give it a like as well. You guys, thank you for joining us on a Saturday. Appreciate you.
Thank you. And if you're joining us later, let us know how you feel about Rachel going home. Peter and Janae joining the game. What do you think that's going to add? Is Peter going to be able to keep any secrets, or is he just going to be the faithful of the faithfuls and spill everybody's beans the whole season? And where do you think they're going next?
Right.
Is it Germany?
I also want to say that it is our 10-year anniversary together, and we are going to do a live stream.
That's soon, right?
Chat hangout. It's like a week and a half from now.
Yes.
Not this Monday, but the following Monday. So I'm going to be putting stuff out there about it, but you guys are going to be the first to know. We're going to chat. We're going to have fun. We're going to hang out and celebrate.
And I think we're going to do a little walk down memory lane
100%.
On some things. Okay.
100%. Let's check out some hair. Let's do it. So please, I hope everyone can make it, but keep an eye out for all of that.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.